بسم الله أن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه سبحانه وتعالى ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Last time we talked about some issues connected to blind following, taqleed, and we made mention that a taqleed is taking someone's position and his opinion, and you don't know where he got it from, you don't know why he said it. And that the one who is a muqallid and he's making taqleed sometimes is permissible and sometimes is haram and is madmoom. It's not praiseworthy. We also mentioned and shed light on the fact that the muqallid la yatkallam, la yujadil, not the haqq of the muqallid to put his voice inside of the picture because he's talking without knowledge. He's taking someone's opinion and he doesn't have knowledge. And as I said, it can be something that a person is excused from, or it can be blameworthy. A Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala grades hadith. And if someone presents a hadith, they say al-Albani said it's authentic. Most people are just going to follow that. They don't know why al-Albani said that hadith is authentic, especially if it's not in Sahih Bukhari or Muslim. It could be a hadith that is in a not so well-known book, but because al-Albani said it, the person takes that position. That's taqleed. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. The person has the ability to look at that hadith and judge that hadith, and he doesn't do so. He just says, I'm going to blindly follow what the Sheikh says for no reason. That's blameworthy. We also mentioned that the opposite of a taqleed is al-ittiba'. Al-ittiba', that a person is following. He follows the proof. So if he's following what al-Albani said and other scholars, we don't say that he's making taqleed. That's not taqleed. So there are four things I want to impress upon you that take a person outside of being a muqallid in his Islam, in his positions that he takes. Four critical points that Imam Ibn Qayyim brought, and he mentioned them over and over and over again and wrote about them in detail. We don't have to go into those details because it's pretty self-explanatory and it's comprehensive. But a student of knowledge is not worth his weight in salt. If he doesn't comprehend this, he's just going to be a muqallid. And if a person wants to be a muqallid, la ba'as. Just don't talk and don't argue. So we'll begin, first of all, by again addressing and stressing the point about taking positions without any knowledge. Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in the Quran, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. There are those people who they argue about Allah. They don't have any knowledge. They don't have any guidance. And they don't have any book. The asl of this ayat is talking about the mushrikeen, the Yahud, the Nasara. Isa is the son of Allah. The Yahud are Allah's chosen people. The mushrikeen who are worshiping Lat and Uzza and all of those other people. But although this ayat is applicable to them, and it's talking about them, it's also talking about the Muslim who says that Ali is Allah reincarnate. People who believe other things can help and harm other than Allah, from some of the khurafat that some of the Muslims have. Another ayat he mentioned in the Quran, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ ala harf. They're those people, they worship Allah. They don't know what they're doing. They're on the edge. He doesn't know what he's doing. If he is told you should not worship Rasulullah and make dua to Rasulullah, he'll become angry with you and he thinks that's the religion. Again, this ayat is talking about the mushrikeen, it's talking about Ahlul Kitab, but it doesn't exempt the Muslim from being from those people. Another ayat, and there are many. وَمَنْ يَدْعُ مَعَ اللَّهِ إِلَهًا آخَرَ فَلَا بُرْهَانَ لَهُ بِهِ. Anyone who worships along with Allah another ilah, he has no burhan. There is no proof for him to do that. There is no way he can bring a proof on the face of this earth that it even makes sense for him to set up an ilah along with anybody who does that. Muslim, non-Muslim, anybody who does that, he's doing it without any proof. There is no daleel, not from close, not from far, that will allow a person to say someone else deserves to be worshipped along with Allah. So those are some of the many ayat. And this is why we find in the Quran, Allah challenges Ahlul Kitab. He challenges the mushrikeen. And we are being challenged as well. He told the Prophet to say, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ in kuntum sadiqin. Bring your proof if what you're saying is true. So the religion of Islam is a religion of Daleel. 4 things we have to understand. Now we're arriving at conclusions and being Muslims. And they're easy. Number 1 is when we're talking about the deen and we're talking about knowledge and we're talking about issues, the masail that we're talking about, a person has to know so that he's not a muqallid. He has to know what's the hukm of that thing. What's the judgment of that thing? So he's going to talk about the salat, the zakat, the sawm, and the hajj. The verse say, what is the ruling of those things? He's going to say that they are fard, they're wajib. You have to do that thing. It's something you have to do. What about that person? He's going to talk about that person. He's going to make a judgment, a ruling. He's going to say he's a Muslim, he's a kafir, he's a mubtadi'. He has to know what is he talking about. The ruling. What is the ruling of that thing? Is it an innovation? Is that thing haram? Is that thing wajib? Is that thing makruh? Is that thing mustahab? Is that thing mubah? He has to know the ruling. What's the ruling? That's the first thing. The second thing is even more important. And that is he has to know the daleel that caused him to come to that conclusion. Simple, self-explanatory. What is the ruling of prayer? The ruling of prayer is that it is wajib. The 5 prayers are wajib. That's the hukm. What's the daleel? What is the daleel for that? Can someone come and say the daleel is qul huwallahu ahad? That's not the daleel that prayer is wajib. The daleel that prayer, the salat is wajib. All of those hadith and those ayat of the Quran. The difference between us and them is the salat, whoever abandons it, he's a disbeliever. Al-Islam has been built upon 5 things, 5 pillars, and from them is salat. All of those. That's not enough. Got to know the ruling, the hukm of the thing. Number 2, you have to know the daleel. Number 3, you have to know the wajh al-istidlal. The wajh al-istidlal. Can I get some help with translating that? The wajh al-dilala. No. Anybody else? Yeah, I guess you could say, like, where is it from this daleel? What's the point? What's the connection that makes this from the daleel? How does it make that thing haram or make it wajib? there's a perfect way of saying it. I don't know. أبو أسماء هات الذي عندك. Because I'm sure all the brothers know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the translation. The dalil for this thing is that. What is the connection between what is it about that dalil, the point of proof? No. If you brothers understand, we could just move forward. But what is the point, the connection of the dalil that makes this individual like that, or makes the ruling like that? For an example, we have in the religion those things that make things halal and haram. You have the Quran, you have the Sunnah, you have the ijma' of the scholars, and you have the qiyas. The person says the proof that homosexuality is haram in Islam, homosexuality is haram. The ruling, the dalil is, the Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, uqtulu al-fa'ila wal-maf'ula bih. You should kill the one who is doing it and the one is being done to. That's the hukm is haram. The dalil, that hadith. Where is it in that hadith that makes it haram? That he said, you should kill the person, the one who does it. That's the wajh dalala. Now, brother, we're going to keep going. The English brothers, you understand what I'm saying? Because I think we're ajizeen, we are not able to translate it because we should have looked this up before. Maybe somebody could look it up very quickly. I was thinking it's self-explanatory. It's just we have to help each other. The point that's making it, the connection, like I said, you can't give a dalil and it has nothing to do with the issue. You gave a dalil, but it has nothing to do. How can qul huwallahu ahad, when you hear that ayat, when you look at that ayat, how can that ayat be a dalil that you have to fast in the month of Ramadan? There's no clear connection. It's not clear. So although you gave a ruling, and although you gave the dalil, there's no connection between that dalil and the thing that you're trying to prove. It has to be connected. It has to be connected. All right? The wajh ad-dalal. The fourth and the final thing, and this is only when there's ikhtilaf. If there's no ikhtilaf, you're saying one thing and he's saying another thing. If it happens, there's a fourth thing that you have to have, and it is important. Fourth thing has to be on the table. First thing that we mentioned, what is the ruling of that? I'm of the opinion that thing is an obligation. He's of the opinion that that thing is the sunnah. Number two, you have to have the dalil. I say it's an obligation because of this particular ayat or the hadith. He says it's the sunnah because of this ayat or this hadith. Number three is the dalil that I'm using is connected to what I'm saying, making it wajib. The dalil that he's using is making it the sunnah in his opinion. Now, because there's ikhtilaf, the fourth thing is you have to be able to push away and to deal with what your opponent is saying, that other person, what is he saying? Because you just can't push away something and the person is presenting to you evidence and you're just going to push it away like that. I have to say to him, for an example, this verse that you're using is abrogated. That hadith that you're using, it is something that is weak. This statement is from the religion of the people who went before us. This was for the Jews and the Christians. This is not for us. So that thing that you're saying is the sunnah because of this, you're using a dalil from what is in the Quran and the sunnah from al-kitab or whatever. You have to be able to push that away. If you're not able to push that away, then you have a position that you have to respect. You have to respect it. Both of you have positions. you have to respect that position because you couldn't do anything with it. So that's the religion looking you in your face. You got to be able to deal with it. If you can't deal with it, you have to respect it. You have to respect it. And not just be a person who says, this is my position, my opinion, and this thing that you're doing, I don't care. I just get it out. No, you can't do like that. And he has to do the same thing for your proofs. And that's what the scholars used to do. The scholars of Al-Islam, when they had ikhtilaf amongst themselves, they would give their points of view, give the ruling, give the daleel, and the connection between those daleels concerning the issue, and they would always deal with managing and handling what the person or the madhab or the people from the other side, what they're saying. And that's how we make the ta'zeem of the daleel in our religion. We make the ta'zeem as Muslims of the Quran and the Sunnah, their daleel, and if someone is using them, although I may not understand or agree with that point of view, that ruling, I don't agree with it, I'm going to respect it. That's why when we have this issue, and it happens all the time, when we'll have varying proofs saying different things, and everything is authentic, the scholars used to say you have to figure out a way of making the tansiq and insijam between those two things. I'll give you an example, just an example, to show the importance of this issue. The hadith is said that anybody who touches his private part and he has wudu, touching his private part will break his wudu. That's an authentic hadith. Any man, you touch your private part after making ghusl, you touch your private part, it broke your wudu. You don't have wudu. It's an authentic hadith. Another hadith said, when they asked him, Ya Rasulullah, what if one of us touches his private part? He said, it's a piece of you, like, it doesn't break your wudu. If you touch your ear, does it break your wudu? No. You touch your elbow, does it break your wudu? No. So some person will come here and say, it is haram, wajib to make wudu. The other person takes this dalil and says, no, don't worry about it. What are you going to do with his dalil and what is he going to do with yours? The scholars say you have to. We have a responsibility to make harmonization between those two. If we can. You got to say that's weak. That was what it was in the beginning of Islam. For an example, in the beginning of Islam, if the lady gave the child suckling from her, the baby fed 10 times, 5 times, it became the baby. She became the mother of the baby. She became the mother of the baby. So it was like that at one time. It's not like that now. For an example. So I want to ask you, how do you make the harmonization between those two dalils about touching the private part? So those scholars said, this is authentic, this is authentic. If you touch it with your desires, you're touching it because you're about to have relationships. Because of that you're doing, that breaks your wudu. But if you touch it inadvertently while you're drying off and you didn't mean to do that, it doesn't break your wudu because it would make life hard for you. So you're working with both of the dalils. You're not getting rid of one and holding on to another one. None of you should sit down in the masjid until you pray 2 rak'at. Sit down. No one should sit down until you pray 2 rak'at. When you enter into the masjid, you come into the masjid and the sun is about to set. He said, don't pray when the sun is setting. So one hadith said, if you come into the masjid, you got to pray 2 rak'ats before you sit down. The other one says, if you come in and the sun is setting, anytime the sun is setting, don't pray at that time. Don't pray at that time. How do we harmonize between the two? Someone could say the setting of the sun doesn't apply to that other hadith, and that's been said. But the question is, where's the proof of that? Well, we've been told, don't be like the mushrikeen. Whoever resembles a people is from them. The prohibition of not praying at this time is the time that the people worship the sun praying. So if you pray at that time, you are resembling them. Anybody? The person, in order to work with both of those hadith, he doesn't pray and he doesn't sit down. He comes into the masjid, he doesn't pray because it's time that is prohibited, and he doesn't sit down. He waits until that sun goes down or that adhan is called, something like that, but he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. This way he'll be working with both of the hadith. And there are a lot of examples of this, a lot of examples. Because there are times where you could pray when the sun is going down, right? He said anybody who forgot his prayer or he slept on his prayer, let him make it whenever he remembers. So he remembered and the sun is going down. He can't wait until the sun goes down because now he has a reason in that case. But this is not like that. That's something different. Point that I'm just trying to show and share with you is if there is ikhtilaf between two varying positions, then the fourth thing is we have to be able to deal with the other person's daleel. You have to, out of respect for the issue, or how do you know that it's what you're saying? Perhaps, perchance, what they're saying is the correct way because there's a possible daleel. There's a daleel staring you in your face. You have to deal with that. You have to deal with that. Are these four things understood, Ikhwani? Comprende? What are the four, my brother? Knowing the ruling, the ruling. What's an example of the ruling? Knowing the ruling, Akhi Salim, what does that mean? Knowing the ruling. Knowing the ruling means what, Akhi Jamal? Is it halal, haram, mubah? That's the ruling. Is he a kafir? Is he a mubtadi'? You gotta know, man. You can't just be talking out the side of your neck, just saying things. What was the second thing, Umar? The daleel that gives that ruling. What's the proof that gives that ruling? So, Akhi Abu Khadija, Abu Akram, Abu Khadija, what is the ruling in Al-Islam? What is the ruling in Al-Islam for killing a nafs bighayr al-haq? What's the ruling of that? And what is the daleel? What is the daleel for that? That whoever kills a believer, whoever kills a nafs, anyone who kills a nafs without the right, what's the actual ayat? Just a general nafs, believer or non-believer. Say it again. Yeah, what's the beginning of the ayah? من أجل ذلك كتبنا على بني إسرائيل أن من قتل نفس بغير نفس. Whoever kills a nafs, Muslim, non-Muslim, man, woman, rich, poor, child, anyone who kills someone without the right, it will be as if he killed all of mankind. So the wajh al-istidlal, Mahmoud, how would you translate the wajh al-dalala? Wajh al-istidlal. The face of significance. Because that's not talking about the face like this. It's like I thought semantics is like a person is saying something and someone comes and says the same thing but in a different way. I thought that's what semantics were. All right, so that's three. That's three. The Hukm, the Daleel, the Wajh al-Istidlal, and the last and the fourth one, Abu Asma. Abu Asma. What's the last and the fourth one? Abu Tariq. Different opinions. He has an opinion. He has another opinion. What has to happen now? You have to deal with his opinion. You have to deal with that. If you can't deal with that, then don't be strong on what you're, wallahi, my position is, no, you never dealt with what that man is saying. Well, your position is weak. Your position is not weak. That ruling, that hadith is abrogated. For an example, that's from what Ahlul Kitab did. That thing you're using and you're going against me, that's from Ahlul Kitab. With the Mawlid of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some of the people said that the Daleel of the permissibility of, they said that the Mawlid is mustahab. It's mustahab. That's his opinion. What's your Daleel? He said the Daleel is the Durood al-Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Is that a Daleel? Another Daleel is, well, if George Washington has a birthday and Abraham Lincoln has a birthday and Martin Luther King have celebrations of birthdays and they celebrate Isa ibn Maryam's birthday in the 25th, then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam min bab al-awla, we should have his birthday as well. Is that a Daleel? Yeah, it's a Daleel, but that Daleel is weak. We're going to say you're making qiyas and we have a text. You're making qiyas about something and we have a text. And that text is anyone who introduces something in this religion that's not from it, it will be rejected. It will be rejected. That is no burhan on that thing. But there are issues, ikhwani, there are issues that present themselves and they are legitimate, bona fide points of ikhtilaf. And all I'm saying in the final analysis, if it comes to that, we have to respect the other person's point of view. His daleel, we have to respect it until we can deal with it. And Allah knows best. Okay, brothers, if you brothers have any questions, add-on, comments, you can do that now. We won't be worth our weight in salt as students, as Muslims, if we don't comprehend this. Not be like the people who worship Allah. They have no knowledge. They argue. They have no knowledge. They have no knowledge. When the Asha'ira and these people start debating about Allah's names and attributes and they use qiyas and they sometimes if you listen to that, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. But if you give your heart and your ear to some of that stuff can start making sense because it's philosophical. And the religion of the companions it wasn't complicated and philosophical like that. Go all around the world to get to the point, and it's something that's not complicated. We believe in it the way Allah mentioned it, khalas. It's not our responsibility, all that stuff that you're talking about. That's not our job. If you brothers have any questions concerning what we just mentioned, these 4 points, you can put your question, your comment forth now.